I'm nervous. Okay. Yes. Hi, I'm Kate. I am a current graduate student at Adler University, and I'm pursuing 2 degrees, so I'm in the dual degree program. My first degree is a Master of Science in Sport and Human Performance, and my second degree is a Master of Arts in Clinical Mental Health Counseling. I really wanted to make this video for a long time, but I never really had the guts to do it. Every single time that I tell people that I'm in not only the dual degree program, but getting a Master's of Science in Sport and Human Performance, they have absolutely no idea what that means. And honestly, I'm really tired of that. I'm eventually going to be a mental performance consultant for one of my degrees. The biggest thing is that that's super different from a sports psychologist. Anyone that I talk to, I'm hoping that this provides a little bit of clarification about what it is that I'm doing and why I love it so much. So imagine you're playing in a high-stakes basketball game. There's 20 seconds left, the other team fouls, and you're awarded 2 free throws. You get the ball, you set up your shot, and just before you're about to shoot, all of this pressure just weighs in on you. And no matter what you do, you can't take your focus away from all that pressure. What do? That right there is sports psychology. So the whole idea of sports psychology is pretty much how your mind affects your performance. I guess if you want to say it in like the easiest terms, a mental performance consultant helps with athletes and overcoming any kind of mental roadblock that they're having to help them achieve a goal and improve their performance. Plain and simple. I think that's the easiest way to explain what it is that they do. Hopefully that makes it just a little bit more easy to understand. For the sake of the video, I'm going to be referring to sports psychologists and mental performance consultants, and those are going to be MPCs. Sports psychologists and MPCs are really similar, and again, the basic and easy way of saying what they do is they look at the psychological components of sport performance or any kind of performance in general. Because as much as you think, if you don't want to think about it like that with like sport, you're performing a lot during the day. The way that you interact with people, the things that you do during the day, it takes a lot of energy to get up and like tell yourself to do things. Sports psychologists are really different with MPCs, not so much in the type of work that they do, but the education and the licenses that they get. I want to start with education first. So for sports psychologists, when you call yourself a psychologist, that means that you have received a doctorate degree. That can either be a PhD or a PsyD. And typically with sports psychologists, they've gone through a bachelor's degree, which is 4 years, a master's degree, which can vary between 2 to 3 years, and then an additional 2 or 3 years for a doctorate degree. For MPCs, they have to have at least 4 years of a bachelor, and it is important to note that it doesn't always have to be a bachelor's in something within the sciences. So for me, I graduated with my bachelor's degree with a major in applied psychology with a focus on mental health, and I had a sociology minor. And I feel like a lot of people always think that in order to go into something with sport, you have to have a degree or background in kinesiology. I didn't. And here I am. But one of the biggest things that I always see people doing, and I admit I have done this before too in the past. After I graduated undergrad, again, I had that applied psychology major. I was saying, oh yeah, I'm a psychologist, but I very quickly learned that that is not the terminology that I was supposed to use. Make sure that you are not telling people the wrong information and making what it is that you're doing very misleading. Psychologists, because they have the master's and the doctorate degree, they're able to help their clients on clinical issues as well. MPCs aren't qualified to do that. And a lot of times this can mean that they can charge more per visit because of the education and the knowledge. MPCs aren't actually licensed psychologists or counselors. That's actually a big reason as to why I'm going in for the dual degree too, because I really am fascinated by the clinical aspect of everything. Even though there's this rule that I'm going to be clinically trained, I won't be able to work with an athlete on their clinical issues and their sport issues. But whatever your client, whether that be the coach to work with a team, the individual athlete themselves, whatever they bring you in for is what you have to work with them. If they brought me in to work on just their sport performance and they do talk to me about how they have depression or anxiety, unfortunately I can't work with them for that because I'm only being brought in for the sport aspect. It does get really frustrating because I am in a position where clinically I would be able to help with both, but legally I'm not able to. If you're anything like me, I really want to help people as much as they can, and having those laws limit you is just infuriating. I think it's also important to note that regardless of what level you're playing at, whether you're an amateur or whether you're a professional, working with a mental performance consultant or even a sports psychologist is really helpful. It's going to be something that a lot of people realize that they should have gotten sooner. People think of psychology and there's this huge stigma around the word psychology. As much as I love saying that mental health is growing in the world today and a lot of people are being more open about their mental health issues or accepting the fact that their mental health is as important as their physical health, there's still a lot of people that really don't want to back it up. They don't want to talk about it. It's also a cultural thing. A lot of different cultures don't accept mental health as something that's important. It's not anything that has to do with getting the individual better. It's just looking at them that there's something wrong with them. Changing that terminology from sport or performance psychology consultant to mental performance consultant makes it more welcoming, especially if someone doesn't want to admit that they're having issues because of that stigma. So you'll probably see in a lot of different movies, like maybe Remember the Titans. That's a really popular movie. There's this idea that what we do is we just hype people up. There's a scene in the movie where the coach is just getting everyone like ready to go and like the whole team is just getting super motivated. That's not what we do. The whole hyping up thing, that's a huge misconception. All the work really comes from you. We're here to guide you and challenge you along the way, but in the end, you're the one that's doing all of the work. We're there to help you find that motivation within yourself. On top of that, we are able to work with individuals, we are able to work with a team, and it doesn't even have to be with a team. We can work with a coach. For anyone out there who's played a sport before, especially on a team, you probably have had an experience where you didn't agree with the coach, or the coach performed in a way that you didn't feel was beneficial for you. Maybe you had a really mean coach. Maybe you had a coach that was your parent, and that added a lot of extra stress and these expectations and the standards that you're trying to meet. That gets to you. That definitely gets to you. Although I can't speak on the sports psychologist side of things, when we talk about psychology, a lot of people tend to think of that stereotypical laying on a couch in front of somebody and just letting your mind wander. Unfortunately, that's not what we do. But fortunately, it's a lot more exciting because let's say, for example, you're a soccer player and you're having performance issues and you bring us out, we actually go out on the field with you. This isn't something where you're going to be sitting alone, one-on-one in a room, which to some people can be very intimidating. You may feel more comfortable with us and it's going to be easier to build that rapport because you're in your comfort zone versus being really uncomfortable, sitting in a room, not knowing anything about the person that's in front of you. The whole couch situation is related to what we do, but it's not how we do it. That's just a very, just scratching the surface definition and explanation of what it is a sports psychologist does versus a mental performance consultant. I think that the most fun thing about this field is that it's never going to be the same with every single person that we work with. If that's something that you really enjoy too, I definitely recommend you look into this field. My program is 3 years long, but that's only because I am in the dual degree program. I believe it would only be 2 years had I just chosen one degree. I would love to go into depth on like what my classes are, what the expectations are with my classes and everything in another video, maybe down the line. What the whole program looks like is you go through all of your education and then you go through an externship. And within that externship, what I'm going through now, I'm going to be shadowing the third years that are in their placements all around the city. Come January is when we actually get to apply our own work. And it's super intimidating, but I'm also very excited for it. So again, my situation is a little bit different because I am going to be getting a clinical degree with clinical mental health counseling, and not everybody does that. So I actually identify as biracial. I am half Filipino and half Italian, and this is not a common field for Filipinos to be in. I know, the stereotype is that a lot of Filipinos are nurses. Personally, I could not do it. I have no interest in the nursing field. As much as I do like the medical field, I knew deep down that nursing was nothing that I wanted to do. This is not a big field for Asian Americans or Asians in general. But I mean, I can't blame anybody. No one really knows about what this field is because it's still considered really new and up and coming. So let's say that you are in the situation where there's just a little bit of pressure for you to be a nurse or for you to go into the medical field, and that's not something that you want. I think that this is a perfect degree and a perfect career choice for you, especially if you're someone that loves physical activity, if you love sport. I also feel like if you're someone that has an interest in raising awareness for mental health, or if you're just interested in that field in general, this is the perfect combination for you. It's a big goal of mine to just kind of make any kind of positive impact within the Filipino community, or hopefully even better within the Asian community, Asian and Asian American community with mental health. And I know that's a really big goal, but that's a huge reason as to why I'm sitting in front of a camera, facing a big fear of mine, and making this kind of video. So I don't want this video to be too long. I'm hoping that maybe 1 or 2 people learn something from this video. However many years down the line, I don't have to explain to every single person that I know like what it is that I do. I don't have to get that usual like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, when I know they actually don't even know what it is that I explain to them. Down the line, when I do get future clients, I would really love to have some kind of portfolio. It has to be something more than just a resume or a LinkedIn page. It's kind of like a little video portfolio / diary for me in the future too. So future me, if you're watching this, I hope we're doing really well. So yes, I really hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, let me know. I would love to have a conversation about it, and I would love to just spread awareness of what it is that we do and why it's so important. If you are Asian, or if you are Asian American and you're someone who doesn't really find a lot of love and inspiration from the healthcare field, hopefully this is something that'll just even push you in a different direction and help you find your way. If you have made it this far into the video, I hope this video isn't too long. I genuinely appreciate it. Subscribe if you want. Do not feel pressured to, but I would appreciate it. If you are interested in anything else or getting to know me and what I like to do, you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Kait. And honestly, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you. Bye.